Here is the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, episode 113. This podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Turrbal people. I acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They were the first music makers on this land. Welcome to the Crescendo Music Education Podcast. We're going to have our second episode with Carol Fox. You're going to hear some more great advice around communication. I really love some of the thoughts that she had on helping us to be heard within our community and some great advice on communication. I can't wait to dig in and read her book, and I know that you will love this episode with Carol Fox. If you missed the last episode 112, go back and have a listen to that one as well and enjoy this second episode with Carol. When we're talking about this communication styles, and now I'm really can't wait to get my hands on your book. I'm going to have to buy one. I will put the link.
I know. I'll see. I'll have a think about what I could possibly do is I can give you, your listeners, a free copy of my ebook. So my only concern is, like, just please don't share it with other people because it's one down, because people pay for this. So what I can do is think, maybe can I give that to you later and you can share it?
Yes, later's fine. Or an excerpt if you like. I mean, we want to be able
Actually,
to
I have
support
got it.
you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just feel like it's information that teachers really like to have and appreciate. I've got a bit of a cheat sheet. Let me find a couple of resources and maybe I can. Will it work if I send them to you at a later date and
It
you can add it to
certainly
the
will,
podcast?
because at this time of recording, I'm at least 2 to 3 months ahead of my recording. I've got to record in school holidays so that I can survive the term.
Absolutely. Yeah, good. I'll send you some links that you can share with them.
That would be great. And look, while we're on that, save me saying it at the end, send some links where people can follow you and see, whether you're on Insta, Facebook, wherever you're hanging out, and your
I tend to hang
website.
out LinkedIn, which not a lot of teachers are on, I found out, because many are, but and then I go, oh, Facebook, and all my friends aren't on Facebook because they're teachers and their students find them. So it's been really interesting. They have to have these aliases. And,
yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I've decided with Facebook that I'm going to be me, but I'm very careful with what I share. And it's just, I don't do, or if I do personal, it's very curated personal. So I just do lots of, the importance of music education type stuff. But yes, it is tricky. I know many teachers that go by their aliases on Facebook.
Well, I have a personal and a work one, so I just keep them completely separate that way. But
good idea.
yeah,
So yes, we'll put all of these links and things so people can find you. Because one of the things that I think as music teachers in our school, people don't know what we do. And I don't think that we communicate very well the importance of what we do. So I was wondering if you had some advice for our listeners about getting the word out in our school community about what we do and why what we do is important.
I think that and look, this is something that sport suffers from as well, is there are going to be people who are going to want the facts. So it is sharing the research. So, in sport, we have so much research now on if children are active, this is what happens. We also know, because my background's women in sport, age 15, there's a cliff, the girls drop off it, they stop playing sport, and yet so many women over a certain age are struggling with being unfit. And we know it starts, we've got to keep them engaged. A bit like music, you want
Yeah.
to keep them
I was
engaged.
going to say that sounds very much like music. Yeah. And
Yep.
for
And
us, if a lot fall off when they go to high school,
mhm.
becomes a little more uncool. In primary school, they've got no choice. They're in my music class,
No,
no matter what.
no.
And that we've got fairly big, we're very fortunate in Queensland. We tend to have healthy choral and instrumental programs. But as soon
Mm.
as they're in high school, it's a look around at all your friends. Hold on. My friend's not playing an instrument. I'm going to stop playing trumpet. I don't want to be uncool.
Yep.
So
And pick
I'm
on and all of that.
so
Mm.
some people find their people and it's all good, but I just want it to be okay for everyone to do it.
I know. Well, I think that's where. So if you look at it, right, it's like this is where your concerts are important, or
Mhm.
um, and so for me as a visual, so I can see what's possible with music, and not always the great, you know, the best ones either. It's about, like you said, being inclusive and you know, you nearly need to show people the different ways that music turns up.
So
And
how do you do that though? I mean, you put concerts on, but the people who need to see the concerts aren't going to come. You're
yeah,
preaching to the converted.
yeah, that's true. Well, I suppose that's where you get into the whole school assemblies where they've all got to sit there
Well,
and,
they've got to sit. Yeah.
know, or it could be the parents turn up for something, and it's again having the music as they enter the school. You know, having your little it's you know, a smaller group playing as they're arriving, just so that the
Yes.
school, it just appears to be part of the school. But, you know, again, we need to, people need to see the music program. They need to get a feeling for it. So that's where we're choosing music that's going to have some sort of an emotion. So, like if it's parent teacher interviews, which I know you're all going to be busy, but having that music, you know, a group of musicians, and even I'm sure you'll have some beautiful singers, just have that as they enter the school. And then it's like they go home and go, oh, I saw those young people singing, you know, singing and playing their instruments. Wasn't that fabulous? So, you know, then we've got the parent directed, you know, is this something you want to do? But definitely the facts and the figures and the data, which when we again look at some of our cultures, some of our people coming from other cultures, if they know that music's going to help their child's mathematics, their child will be doing music.
Mm, mm.
So
Yes.
it's
So
it,
is that,
it's
how would you suggest? I mean, I pop something in every newsletter,
good.
a link to research and a little bit. We're doing this in the music classroom. And did you know that music in early childhood helps with self-regulation? Here's a little bit of an article in case you want to read it. So
Excellent.
I think newsletters is one way because you want to get it out there. If you've got
Yeah,
a line into your school Facebook, I think that's also another good. Schools can be funny about their social media, especially state schools. I think private schools do the whole social media thing really well. State
yeah,
schools are very tend to be very reserved. Um,
right.
but I'm thinking there are ways that people could get that research out there.
Mm. And the research is really important. And you know, and the more that you can back it up with facts and figures and data, the more that it will be heard. Because again, music can come across, it's a bit fluffy. So is sport. So we're just doing it to have a good time. Well, no, the research actually shows that when you do this and this and this, and this is, you know, then you're actually letting people know that it is just as important as all the other subjects
Mm,
that these young people are doing, and particularly in primary school as well. I think it's also about handling objections. So when we're in a meeting and they're deciding on budget, and you know, once again, the English faculty got double everyone else, and um, you know, music. kind of pushed aside, or sports pushed aside, depending on whether we're in Olympic year or not, and where they're being held. It's when we're talking about it, it's also managing the objections that even our colleagues can say, like, oh yeah, but no one needs music, after primary school. I mean, I'm sure you've heard plenty of objections.
Oh, many.
So the only way the most elegant way for you to deal with the objections, because if I say something like music's not important, and you get a bit emotional as well, and you start telling me all the reasons why it's important, I don't care. I've already made my decision. It's my reality. But if you actually turn around and go, well, Carol, what if music is really important? What if I could share with you statistics that actually support what we've been talking about here today? Now, consciously, I can still go, no, it doesn't matter. But the power of a what if is about challenging someone's perception and reality, and opening them up to other possibilities that are out there. So if there was one thing as teachers you take away from today, it's that beautiful, it's called a reframe tool. And it's like when you have a student say, I'm really bad at music, and you turn around and go, well, what if you're good? How would we make that happen?
Mm.
The what if actually validates a person's reality. And then it opens them up to possibilities, even though consciously they'll say, well, I'm just not. This subconscious mind you've planted a seed now that now has them thinking about what else is happening out there. There's no money in the budget. Oh, sorry, Debbie, there's no money in the budget for the music program this year. Rather than you saying, well, yes, there is. What you can do is you look straight at the finance person in the meeting and you go, well, what if there was money? Where would we find that? And then you just leave it hanging. And how many times, in board meetings and that, to use a what if and go, well, what if there was room? What if there was money? What if it did work? That's where you are just starting to get people to think about a different reality.
Oh, I love that. I think
Mm.
that's a nugget of fabulous.
It's called a reframe tool.
A reframe
And
tool. And I can think of so many situations where that would be useful as a music
oh,
teacher.
absolutely.
Or-
Because so remember, if my reality is that I'm really bad at singing, right? And I
yeah.
say to you, I'm bad at singing, you go, no, you're not. You've actually just disagreed with me. And then I'll shut down more,
Hmm.
particularly when I'm a little person and no one agrees with me. But if you can get curious and go, Carol, what if you were good at singing and you just didn't know? I've got a way to get us there. And then you just keep moving on. Now I can sit there and I can sulk, or I can go, she believes in me.
Yeah,
There's
but even
something
if
there.
you're sulking, there's probably something in your brain
It's going to the
that's,
possibility.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's where a reframe tool is so beautiful, because what it does is it validates people. It validates their reality at that time. And then you get to give them other opportunities. Oh, I'll never make it to the choir. Well, what if you could? What would we do? Where would we start?
Mm.
I mean, think about all the excuses you all hear on a daily basis. And
Mm.
everyone, the power of the reframe tool is not to then give them the answers. So how many times do we hear, I can't do that, right? My only answer to that is, what if you could? Let's go. So I then don't tell them how to do it. And you need to trust the reframe tool in the power of you just saying, well, what if we could? What would we do first? So that you really then just taking people back to the start.
So some of this could be a longer process, couldn't it, then, if you're using this tool? So
What are you
so
thinking?
if you're in a school that's just decided we're not having music every week, we're only having music for a term, so that we can then have dance and we can have drama, and so music's being cut. So if during your discussions with the principal, if you said, but what if we did have music every week? What would we have to do to make that happen? Is that
Hmm.
the sort of But that's the sort of
Absolutely.
thing they'd have to dwell on that a little. You'd probably have to have
Yeah,
a few meetings about it, and then you can bring some statistics. But what if we could do this? The problem
yeah.
is if you keep getting hard no's, I guess what do you do? Just keep
Well,
what ifing.
I think you can. I mean, there's a point. The good news about it though is that if it really is a hard no, if it has been decided and there's no moving on from it, then at least when you what if them and go, well, what if we could run music past the first term? How would we make that happen? But they've already decided, no, it's never going to happen.
Mhm.
Then at least you know there and then that it is a hard no. And that then I might say, well, what if there was an opportunity that we could do music in another way to
Yes.
continue it on? So it's just there is a point where we take the no, but there's also a point where we look for opportunities, and that's what the reframe tool does. It opens us up to reality that's just not even there, and that possibly they haven't even considered at that time.
Mm.
And always from a place of curiosity and not everyone, not emotion, because we do become, we're terribly passionate about what we do. We know, like for me, I know children must place, they've got to be physically active, particularly our girls. But I need to park that emotion because then no one listens to me. So
That's hard to
curious.
do. Have you got
Yeah.
any advice on parking the emotion? Because I've spoken to so many music teachers over the past, probably coming up to 10 years when we've been working on reinstating and helping music educators across Queensland. And there's been some terrible stories where uh, I feel for those teachers, and it's difficult for them to not get emotionally involved.
Look, I think there's a metaphor that I remember that it really helps me, and it's one that I teach all my coaches, for example. So if I've got a sports coach and they want their team to win and then their team don't win and then they get upset and then it impacts on the team and it just doesn't work. It's a bit like all of you, I want everyone in this school to play music, but you'll have some that never will. You have some that are just not interested, right? And then we spend our time focusing on the 4 in our classroom who have no interest in music, but we know it's good for them. And then we miss the other 25 who are actually there and engaged. How many times have we done that? The one child that
Yes.
didn't pay attention, or the one class, that naughty class. But
Yeah.
that's the class we think about, 7A usually, everyone.
Mm.
Class, oh, that's at high school, class 7A. But and then you focus on that class that you just couldn't quite get to. Well, that's what's exhausting. Or the staff, oh, the phys ed and the maths, they don't care. But you focus on them instead of focusing on what you're actually doing. So what you're doing is you're just handing all your power away and all your energy away. So the metaphor I use, which keeps me also as a facilitator, a teacher, grounded, I suppose, and full of energy, is the metaphor of the lighthouse. And, the purpose of a lighthouse is it knows where the dangers are and it's anchored on the rock. And one purpose for the lighthouse, and that is to shine its light. That's it. So there'll be ships that look to the light and they end up in the port and the harbour safe. But the lighthouse keeper doesn't run down to the port and go and have a party with the captain of the ship and publish in the paper, because of me and me shining my light, the ship got to port safely. No, the lighthouse keeper just keeps shining their light, their purpose. And then there are some ships, they don't look up to the light and they end up on the rocks in disaster. But the lighthouse keeper doesn't run down and try to save everyone. They might be sad by all means, particularly if it's an awful situation, but they also don't dismantle the lighthouse because of the one ship, captain of a ship that didn't look up to see the lighthouse. No, they just continue to shine their light for everyone else. So, don't take responsibility for those who do see our light and hear our music, and don't take responsibility for those who don't. The only responsibility we have as educators is to be true to ourselves and shine the light and do it in the best way that we can. And that's all we really have to do, is shine our light, be true to ourselves, believe in what we're doing, and then there'll be people who see it and there'll be people who don't. That's okay, because it's the integrity of what you put out that's really important.
That's my mic being dropped. No, that is amazing. I love that. I really love that. I actually think we should finish our chat on the lighthouse, because I think that's really brilliant. And I think that we should call all our listeners to arms and say that they should all go and shine their light. They should connect with you, which I will put in my read the episode. And it's just been an absolute delight. So unless there's something else that you really want to add.
No, Debbie, it's just been a pleasure, an honour to be able to just, to talk to you. And, so many of you are gentle souls, and it's the nature of what you do. And I think that's where this lighthouse might just help all of us, just to do the best we can in the world that we're in at the moment too. So, yeah, control what we can control.
Absolutely. And I'm very grateful for your light, Carol.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. That's beautiful. Appreciate it. I've even got it up in neon lights for you.
I love it. Thank you again. Bye for now.
Very welcome. Bye.
As we know, laughter relieves stress. Don't lose sight of the funny side of life. What do a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common? They're both parasites. They're both parasites. Parasites. Thank you so much for watching our Crescendo Music Education podcast. For more information about all things Crescendo, including membership and music education resources, visit us at crescendo.com.au. Don't forget to like and subscribe.